everyone, welcome to a bonus level episode of Brothers and Boss Battles. This is an offshoot of our regular show, Brothers and Boss Battles, a video game showdown. In these bonus level episodes, we generally talk lighter side of video games, do lists, drafts, things like that. Today, we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to talk about a game with the contents being like our regular episodes. But this will be a standalone episode, not part of our competition where 3 games go into the Bro Down episode. For this unique episode, we are going to talk about a very special game, especially to my brothers, I think. A remake of a very special game to them, and that's the predecessor of another remake that's coming out next week. And that game is Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 Remake. That game, which remade the first 2 games of the Tony Hawk series, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, was released for PlayStation 4, Windows, and Xbox One on September 4th, 2020. Later on the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S on March 26, 2021. And on the Nintendo Switch on June 25th, 2021. As mentioned, these were remakes of the original 2 Tony Hawk games, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, which came out in 1999, and Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, which came out in the year 2000. All right. Again, I'm Anthony, and my brothers Pete and Tom are here, and we are going to give this a shot. All right. I guess we could give initial thoughts since we're doing it in the same vein as our usual episodes. So, does anyone want to start?
I'll start. So yeah, I mean that was that was quite the mouthful for the intro there, but that just goes to show like how how many iterations have gone through for these games. So we played a lot of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 back in the day on the PlayStation. Um, yeah, it was like such an iconic game for me personally. Just, for one being fun, but then like it also kind of like inspired me to watch the X Games and learn about skateboarding and like, kind of like follow skateboarders and stuff and like idolize them to a point. Um, yeah, so I mean, definitely left a lasting impression on me. And I was really pumped when they announced the remake of the first 2 games. And yeah, I think I got it day one when it was released for PlayStation 4 and played it quite a bit. Um, was that 2020 you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, so and then, it was like instantly like falling in love with the game again. It felt great. I know a lot of people are always like, "Oh, when they remake something, it doesn't feel like the original," but this game felt really really great. And like even added to the greatness of the originals. So yeah, I was stoked to use a skating term. I'm stoked to get into it today.
Pete, you want to give some thoughts of the
Yeah,
initial variety?
yeah. I'm glad you guys gave long spiels and initial thoughts because I was kind of fumbling with my setup because I was just playing some Tony Hawk, working towards my got there achievement, which is basically impossible. But anyway, so my
What
initial
is that
thought,
achievement?
I don't know, there's these get theres, they call them in the different levels, and basically
Mhm.
it just, I guess in one combo you have to span a very large
Ah,
area of land and covers multiple gaps that you have to jump, and some of them are really quite hard. But anyway, so Tony Hawk is another one of those games where we played a lot as a kid, and I always thought of it, Tony Hawk 1, 2, and 3, like to be really great games that I love, but never like actually went back to revisit playing them and seeing if those fond memories really held up. So we've reviewed other games like this, like Donkey Kong 64, Simpsons Hit and Run. So those games are similar in this context. And as you guys know, and our listeners, if they listen to those episodes, once we finally played those games, I felt they really did live up and were really a lot of fun. So in this in this arbitrary grouping of games that I just made up, we'll make it a perfect 3 for 3 because I really had a lot of fun playing the Tony Hawk 1 and 2 remakes, and just I feel like listeners don't have to take my word for it. The franchise is generally considered to be really fantastic, and I agree with the masses on this one. So can't wait to hear your guys' pros and cons about the game.
All right, and that's the episode.
There's just so much to talk about with these games.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Just kidding, people. So yeah, so I played. I mean, I use my spiel as most of my initial thoughts. So I do not like this game as much as Pete and Tom do. Whether that be the originals or the remakes, but I definitely appreciate them. I definitely, like how they were unique in a way, um, where people really got into them, even though you're not, battling bad guys or, doing other like more traditional sporty simulations like baseball or basketball or something like that. So it's um it's a cool game. Has a great soundtrack. I mean, it has music that I really like. Which they combined from one and two, plus added new songs for the remake. Um, but we should talk a little bit about the gameplay and just like what you do in this game. Like, because people, I mean, I don't know, a lot of people know Tony Hawk, but I think if you talk to just some people, it's like, oh, well, what do you do in a skateboarding game? Like, how is that fun? So
Yeah,
like,
so it's not just skateboarding. You go through a series of levels, and each level, which is like an area in the world, like a city or something like that, and conveniently set up with a lot of grindable structures and
Ramps.
ramps and half
yeah,
pipes and whatnot.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so each level has its own set of goals to achieve. And that's like the core part of the game, but there's even more to do after that, which we'll touch on. But yeah, I mean, some of these goals consist of finding objects throughout the area. Like one, for example, when you're in New York, I think you have to find Metro cards or something like that for the subway.
Yeah, the school you have to find textbooks or something.
Yeah, so there's things like that, and then some other more skateboardy things like perform a trick over a certain gap or something like that. And I'm not going to sit here and list every every goal
Yeah.
possible, but stuff of that nature.
Yeah, and some goals were just reach a certain high score within the 2 minute time limit
Yeah,
or
and doing a
get
combo.
a combo that exceeded a certain score. Yeah.
Yeah, so those are the more skateboardy ones.
Yeah, so ultimately it was kind of like you're always on the skateboard, so you're doing skateboard tricks with combos of the buttons. So, you're always kind of, it's cool the way they do it is like you kind of are always on the skateboard. You don't have to do like a whole bunch to like get on the skateboard and make sure you stay on it. I mean, you do have to do the combos with sufficient timing and accuracy. Well, not really accuracy, but it's sufficient timing so that you land on your skateboard rather than wiping out and
Bailing, it's called.
bailing, yeah, and not getting your points. So, um,
Yeah, and they do a common mechanic where, if you repeat the same trick in six, or the more times you repeat a trick, the less points you get for that trick.
each level is set up in a way, they kind of get bigger as you go, and there's like my brother said, like a series of tasks you have to do, and you have to complete a certain amount of those tasks, usually not all of them, but a certain amount to advance to the next stage, and then that continues until you get to like to the end really. And it's not really like winning, right? I mean, it's just like trying to beat your top score. I mean, like the last level when you get like, I mean, what do you do then? I didn't get there, by the
Well, I
way.
mean, this well, it's just like a campaign in any game
Mm.
where you're trying to complete. It reminds me. I mentioned Simpsons Hit and Run, and in a lot of ways, it reminds me like that. I mean, that's a little more story driven, I guess,
Yeah.
but you're really trying to complete a certain amount of goals.
Honestly, it reminds me almost, to me, it's almost like a modern version of a throwback game, like where you're just trying to like beat goals and get points, but there's not like really. an end or a finish
You mean
like
something like,
Pac-Man, like or
yeah,
Donkey Kong, where you just, like it could theoretically go on for like ever, but you're just trying to top your score, top your combo, like stuff
that's
like
not
that.
really.
No.
I think people do that for bragging rights,
Yeah.
but that's not really a end goal.
Mm.
Yeah, the
It's
goal is
like,
basically to complete all the goals on each map.
yeah, so you
Yeah,
100%
Yeah.
each level, and then with the remake, there's a bunch of other stuff to do. They have additional challenges like perform a combo that has these kinds of tricks in it.
mm,
Um, so like a flip trick into a grab into a grind without
mm,
doing manuals or something like that,
right.
and getting over a certain score. So like there's a bunch of that stuff to do. That gives longevity to more longevity to the game.
Yeah, and the multiplayer. I guess the
Replayability,
original
would you say?
the originals I guess had local multiplayer, but these remakes had online, and there were different multiplayer modes.
And that was
I,
kind of like horse.
yeah, one of them was
One of them was
horse,
horse, right? Yeah.
where basically one player would do a trick and then the other person had to do a trick that was more points.
Right.
And then there was the graffiti one where it's like you're both kind of on the map, and if I would do a trick worth a certain amount of points on a ramp or on a rail or whatever, it would turn my color, and then the other player, if he or she did a trick that was more points, then it would turn their color.
Mm,
So, and that's like these like playing MLB The Show or Madden, where you're just
yeah.
playing people online,
Right.
which really,
Yeah, that's cool.
to me, one of the things that's different than those games is, well, just the nature of the sport. You're not really going against the other person. It's almost more like bowling,
Yeah,
where
it's
it's like,
points. It's not
yeah,
like you're not head to head. And I
yeah,
guess I don't know. It's weird, but yeah, I know what you mean. It's like someone's not pitching and trying to strike out someone or hitting a goal versus someone
yeah,
blocking a goal, like,
yeah. But one thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was the difficulty. So,
yes. I know. You're
but
looking at me. You're looking at me.
I'm not necessarily talking about how hard it is, but this is what made me think of it is that you had a hard time completing the
Yeah, I
goals.
mean,
I know.
so, but as I mentioned to you before when we were talking, like some of the levels have, you have to find something and then, roll or drive, not drive, but like make your skater go over it. Or so you collect it and there's like five things to collect. Each level, there's the letters SKATE to spell skate, and you have to get each letter. That's like another goal you could complete. And like those usually weren't too bad, but some of those like collectibles, quote unquote ones, are just like hard to find without a guide or anything like that. Like there was nothing inherently difficult about getting to them once you knew where they were. For example, I mentioned before in the school levels in both Tony Hawk 1 and 2, you do like a wall grind they have like these bells, like a school bell. But like finding them, like these little red dots on these brick walls was just like very difficult without a guide. And I know I was met with some consternation about like just a part of the fun is finding these things, but
Yeah. No, but
it also is you can't advance without it. And like if you've done other goals that you can complete, it's you kind of want to be able to advance. And the other thing is some of the other goals are like get 10 billion points doing a combo, and it's like I just found that very hard to do.
yeah, I don't know about that. Especially in some of the earlier levels, I feel like the combos are quite easy to achieve.
Next time we're together, like with this game, I want to see you guys do it.
Okay.
Yeah, by the time I got to Tony Hawk 2, um, like I was getting the sixth score in my first run basically every time.
Well,
Yeah, but so
whoop-de-doo.
so one of the things about the remake here is like, as you go through the levels, one of the other things you could collect are these, what do they call them, stat points,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
And then, when you collect them, and then after you go into the sort of the main menu, you could upgrade one of many different stats, your grind balance or your speed or your,
Yeah.
you know, height.
Those I got. I got those.
Yeah. But at the start of Tony Hawk 2, I my character already had a bunch of stats that I accumulated from Tony Hawk 1.
Yeah.
So it made playing Tony Hawk 2 even easier than it should have been, probably.
Mm.
Than if you were. I
Yeah.
mean, you could start with a new skater if you want to challenge yourself more.
Right. And I guess
That's
that was something that was different than from Tony. Like you couldn't carry stuff over from Tony Hawk 1 to 2 in the original PlayStation, right?
Pretty sure you couldn't. I guess I don't
yeah.
know that for 100% fact, but
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a new game, so they had to make it a little bit
yeah,
easier.
yeah, yeah, I guess. But but
Uh,
it's funny that you mentioned the wall riding the school bells because in Tony Hawk 1 there was only like two goals that I didn't complete, and that was one of them. And just like the finding the things was fun, but that one in particular was just it was like a red little red bell on a brick wall most of the time, and it
Yeah.
was just so annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that one was one that took me like I skipped over it the first time I went through
uh,
like Tony Hawk 1, and then I went back to clean it up. But yeah, I think one of them, like there was one in particular that was just very kind of well hidden that
Yeah. I
you
think there
wouldn't.
was one on like a roof or something, or like
yeah,
on an
yeah. But
elevated platform.
that one I got. There was
Yeah.
another one that for some reason I didn't find. But there's no, as far as I recall, there was no way to increase or decrease the difficulty because of the nature of the game.
Yeah. Which
You
is
know?
okay.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, I don't know how like making it easier to make your comp like unless they just gave you more points for doing simpler stuff. But I mean, like I don't
Yeah,
know how
or
it did.
reduce the goals.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the score goals at least. And
yeah.
if they really wanted to change it, they could change the location of things
Well, yeah.
on easier levels. But there were
Right,
like these
right.
mods, like no bail mode and perfect grind balance and
Yeah,
manual bounce, all that stuff.
that would make it easy.
Yeah.
Did you guys
But I guess what I'm saying is, sorry, Ann, it would have been nice to be able to change the difficulty for someone like Anne who couldn't complete the game, but without making it so easy where it's like no bail mode, like,
honestly, I have to say, like, I know you guys probably don't think I'm good enough to finish it, and that might be true, but like, I didn't have nearly like as much interest in trying to finish it like you guys do. That's why I'm like, you know, sorry.
I think you just need to learn like how to do the combos.
technique. Yeah.
No, but
Yeah, like
I
much.
get them. It's just like I mean, I'll get like a 10,000 combo, but like you have to get like a hundred
That's like
thousand
one
dollar
special
combo.
move.
Yeah, but I mean, how do you?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, I can't. Like, how do you manual manual? How do you how do you manual like enough and then do it? Like I don't. Isn't that like the key? Like you have to do the
Yeah.
manuals. Like, but like I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that you can do in the game is while you're grinding or manualing, you like double tap the face buttons, everyone other than the one that ollies. If you double tap those while you're grinding or manualing, it'll do a different trick.
Mm.
So you can like really get the multiplier up by
I
doing
just
that.
yeah. I just feel like I will like get to. It's just hard. It's hard to keep it going.
Yeah. It is one of those things to Tom's point where it kind of, I think, clicks. Like once you kind
Yeah.
of could do tens of thousand point
Mm.
combos, like then you kind of are on your way.
Like it's cool. I mean, well,
Yeah, so we were talking about manuals. I think the revert and the manuals actually weren't introduced until Tony Hawk 2,
mm,
in the originals, but it was included in Tony
yeah,
Hawk 1 in the remake, obviously. But
right.
like,
Damn, I don't know how
I don't
you
know
get. Yeah.
exactly.
I,
Those two things were
I wonder
key.
if those scores were
I mean,
decreased in the originals.
Yeah,
I feel like it would
I
have
hope.
to be
yeah,
because
that's what I was thinking too. What do you guys think of the tutorial? Because I felt like, I don't know, I felt like it kind of told you about the basics, but like kind of to the point we were just talking about with the combos, like it didn't really educate you on that enough, I feel.
Yeah, it kind of allowed you to play, but because advancing requires so much like combos, it wasn't comprehensive enough, I guess.
yeah, I mean it taught you about manuals and reverts, which are like the
True.
connectors to actually string combos. So, but yeah, I mean it wasn't like super comprehensive.
But
Uh,
there were a few things where I felt like I had to go online to look up, like apparently like there was a couple of moves that would help you get a little extra height if you're going over a gap or something, like a boneless ollie, which I only found out by going online. I guess I can't tell you everything, but like
Yeah.
if there's two tricks that are going to help you get height, like that's critical piece of information to play the game, I feel like.
So how do you do
Yeah.
that trick?
Uh, Simple, I don't remember. Maybe up, up, and a button or something
Uh,
as you were like leaving the ramp or something. I don't remember exactly.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Then some of the goals had specific tricks that you had to do, but that wouldn't make sense in the tutorial. Like
No, but that
airwalk over the gap or something.
but that you could pause and look at your
Oh
Move
yeah, yeah,
list.
yeah, yeah. So that
So
would that I mean I did do that a lot because I don't remember pretty much anything. You had to
yeah,
do a Madonna over one
yeah.
of those gaps.
you guys said that like it seemed like you guys played pretty extensively. Like how close were you to platting or achieving the heck out of your
Not
game?
close.
Not close.
You have to do so many of those. Well, like you were saying with the get
Get
theirs, and
theirs, yeah.
then I think there's also for like doing all the gaps,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
maybe those are part of challenges. But
Challenges, yeah.
yeah, and then you have to do all the challenges.
I did
And
get the achievement to get hit by the vehicles in every level.
yeah, I got that one too.
Do that one without even trying.
Didn't have to boost that trophy.
Yeah. But I did in Tony Hawk 1, I got 96% through the goals.
Wow.
Yeah, so I missed that wall riding the 5 school bells.
You mean on
And
your initial playthrough, or you never went back and did it?
yeah, like without using a guide, other than like the boneless, like the general stuff, like boneless ollies.
Yeah, but so then you used the guide to finish that wall ride thing, or you just left it at 96?
I think I went back. I'm not sure, but I also missed the secret tape in San Francisco. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Oh,
And
that
then
was, I mean, that was San Francisco. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, oh, yeah, that was hard. We had to go up the fountain and then around the other building.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you had to go like way up there.
I'd read that a bunch of the skaters that had been in later Tony Hawk games, they added to this game or, this remake. So you could use them in one or two that weren't initially in the
One
initial
or two.
Tony Hawk 1 or 2.
Yeah, there were some younger people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then some of the music, we talked about the music. There's a lot of like skate punk type of bands that are, but really good that we liked, and pop punk. Um, and they included all of the. So again, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, the remake is essentially one game. So even though it remakes two games and you kind of go into different menus to play them, but they have the music span both. So I just like to shout out Goldfinger Superman, MXPX's Let It Ride.
Bad
Machine,
Religion U.
yeah, you could do that.
Really?
No, it's a good song. But what else? The Machine Gun Kelly song that they added to this one was pretty good. My Bloody
I,
Valentine, I think.
I like the Atari song in it.
Yeah, that's a good one. And the Less Than Jake song.
Yeah, it's
What
good
was
too.
that? Time Bomb?
Uh, Bomb drop.
Yeah, something like that. Something with a bomb. Those are
Superman was kind of like, I don't know, the official, unofficial, like theme song.
yeah, because it was like in the theme. Like if you just let it play and don't like click the button at the beginning, it'll show like a close up of someone's feet skating, and it's playing Superman by Goldfinger. So that was
It's
cool,
funny.
very
It's funny.
well deserving, and that one was in the original.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Tony Hawk, he does a podcast with someone else. It's a little dopey, but I've listened to a couple of episodes, and
I
he
hope
was
he's not
mentioning
calling our podcast Opie.
if he's not, I'm sure a lot of other people are.
Actually, him calling our podcast Opie would be great
Would be
for us.
great.
So yeah, actually, do that, Tony Hawk.
But I think he was mentioning how one time he was able to, like, he performed that song with Goldfinger. I
Oh,
guess on a
nice.
Goldfinger show or something.
Oh,
But he was saying how I guess in the original they only had the first 2 minutes of each song.
ah,
So he was like he knew that by heart, and then after the first 2 minutes he was like struggling. Anyway,
But I mean, like the graphics are good, definitely upgraded, as you could imagine. It's
Yeah. I
it's
mean, the
very
game felt,
smooth. I do have to say it's
yeah,
very
it
smooth. Like
felt
I
really good.
it felt good to play and it's just like but there were those frustrating times it's like you think you do the combo perfect and you bail.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
like
You also have to
quite
make sure
like,
that you're landing correctly.
Yeah.
It's not just enough to
exactly.
do the trick. You have to
Yeah.
like position yourself so that you're
Yeah. I think it took me a while to realize that.
What do you think it was just mashing buttons?
that's
Yeah,
why
pretty much.
that explains why it was hard for you.
Nah, because it was hard for me I knew you had to do the manuals to boost your combos, but I just couldn't like I don't know, I couldn't feel I didn't feel like I was good at that. I was good at like the grinding when you're riding on the rails and stuff like that, or keeping your balance when you do, the stops at the top of a ramp or something, either on your
Lip,
skateboard or you do
those are
the thing
lip tricks, right?
lip tricks.
We're spitting a lot of skateboarding lingo. But I thought what do you guys think of like the levels? 'Cause I thought the level design is just so fantastic. And there's
Yeah,
like a lot to do, and there's hidden areas, and
Yeah, I like the hidden areas. Like in, I think it was the New York City level, like just getting
yeah,
to like this, like that part with the subway, like
yeah,
the L train, I guess.
yeah. And one of the secret tape was on that part.
Yeah. And then, yeah, in, was it Philadelphia too? There was like a whole hidden area.
Yeah, the
It's cool.
construction yard, and then there was even like to get on top of like one of the roofs, or not really roof, but like yeah, maybe it was a roof, balcony or something.
Yeah, awning,
I
I
liked
think.
I liked Philadelphia because it really did remind me of Philadelphia. That
did,
level.
did you have to find the Liberty Bell?
You had a wall ride, the Liberty Bell.
Wasn't the collectible? Wasn't it like bells or something?
I
Well,
don't
maybe not. I forget. But
Was it Declarations of Independence?
remember. Benjamin Franklin statues.
Yeah.
But the New York one, I felt like didn't feel like New York. But the Philadelphia one really felt like Philadelphia to me.
it was like Central Park, I think it was supposed to be.
Oh,
So it
Like,
seemed more parky than like New York City actually is.
yeah, yeah.
but I don't recall this, but I was reading like because the game came out in 2020, the height of like
COVID.
lockdowns and stuff.
Yeah.
Like the mall level was changed, so it really looked like an abandoned mall.
Oh yeah. I that one I
And
got to and then yeah,
even
it
in the
was like
school,
yeah.
like there was no one there, no students or anything.
Right. Were there
Which
people in the
I
original games though? Were there the people going around?
yeah, it's like I said, I don't recall, but from what I read, yes.
Because the only person in the school level was like the guy riding the cart, like that was gonna hit you. It was like a guy like driving
Oh,
something that.
Yeah,
mm,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That's one of the vehicles you have to get hit by to get that
yeah.
trophy.
Mm.
But one thing we didn't mention was a few levels after a couple of these regular levels where you have the different goals to achieve. It's like a skate competition, and you do.
Yes. Yeah.
Now I'm forgetting the lingo. Tom, maybe you could help me. Was it like
Heats.
three heats? Yeah, yeah. And then you basically get judged after your time, and your top two heats get counted towards your final score. So those weren't as fun to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean those were just
Doing tricks.
basically getting
Yeah,
like doing the best combo, really.
yeah, and trying not to bail.
Yeah. Those were easy to get like to place.
Yeah,
Some of them were tough to get the gold though.
You
yeah,
had to get
definitely.
like the first one of the first two, I think, right, to advance. I don't think you had to
I
win
think
it.
three,
Oh, top three.
top
I think
three,
yeah,
right?
just any medal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of them I got perfect score.
Woo!
Was it 100 or
I think it was
99.9?
99.9,
Yeah.
if I recall.
I don't think I got 99.9, but I also wasn't trying, so I'm sure I could do it blindfolded if I tried.
You were trying to get like 95 because I wasn't trying to. I was just trying to do my best. And my
You're
best was
trying your
perfect.
hardest. Would you do it blindfolded though?
Well, no, I mean,
With your hands tied behind your back.
if I was trying to get a perfect score, I would like put more effort into making sure that I don't
I know.
bail.
I know what you meant.
But it was cool that I didn't do this, but it was cool that you could create your skater.
Yeah. I
You
just
know,
used Tony Hawk.
me too. That's what it
Yeah.
started on. So I was like,
Yeah.
I was just so eager to play. I was just like,
I created a skater.
oh, that's
Oh,
cool.
It's cool because then another part of the game that we didn't talk about is the skate shop
Yeah,
yeah.
where you
Yeah.
can use your Tony bucks to it's just money, I guess, in this game. They don't actually have a fun name for it, but but then yeah, you buy new clothes and
Skateboards.
Yeah.
skateboards and emblems and stuff. So
Yeah.
that was cool to customize.
Yeah, and some of them cost dollars, US dollars, I guess, but some of them were unlockables, I think,
Yeah,
based on achieving some of the challenges, was it?
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
the different boards and
So
stuff.
if there's a cool board that you want, you gotta make sure you complete that challenge.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's also create a park, right? Which I also didn't do, but
I did it just so that I can clear some of the challenges. I mean,
uh,
it's cool if you're into that.
yeah.
Like, you can really, there's a lot, they give you a bunch of stuff to place. And I think you actually have to unlock some of
Yes,
the objects to place so you don't
that's
have
right.
everything off the bat. But
Yes, that's really cool.
yeah, I mean, if some people are like really into it, they could make some legitimate stuff that feels like an actual level in the game.
Yeah.
Can you share that with people or no?
Yeah, you can upload
You
them.
can? Okay, yeah. Because that's what a lot of the new simulation games seem to kind of go with. Like logos you could upload to share and parks.
That seems like a bad idea.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, because again, this
Well,
game is
there might
different.
be some content moderation or something
Yeah.
with that. And
Yeah. But like we were saying, this game is different than other like sports simulators. Like in MLB The Show, if you create a park, then you could play somebody in that park,
yeah.
where it's not, I guess maybe it's like that if you play the multiplayer in Tony Hawk. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I think that's the point, is like that they could download it. Like speaking of MLB The Show, like the team I built, like the logo was someone else's logo that that they uploaded for use, and I just
Oh,
used
really?
that. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
The New York Hornets, if anyone finds me online.
Creative. And then, then there were the unlockable characters. So there's Officer Dick, of course.
Is he voiced by Jack Black?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And I think he was just recently confirmed for Tony Hawk 3+4 remake.
Hmm.
Is that, did we say plus or no?
That is how it's written, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think and would also work, but
So to get Officer Dick in Tony Hawk 1 and 2 remake, you have to complete the Rags to Riches challenges with the Creative Skater. Did you do that, Tom? Or I don't know if.
I didn't unlock anyone.
Oh, okay.
Rags to riches. I wonder what that. You probably have to get a certain amount of money.
Yeah. Yeah. Then there's the Skeleton Ripper. I think he was. I don't think you unlocked him. I think he was only available if you got the digital deluxe edition. So it was a
Hmm.
little cheap, but
Is Spider-Man in it?
I don't think he's in this one. No. What game was he in?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe it was three.
Yeah. And then there's the Roswell alien. If you collect all the alien plushies, I don't know if you guys noticed the plushies scattered throughout the levels.
I did not.
Plushies, no.
No, like little toys. Yeah, they were hard to find. I think ran into one or two. I think like in the first level,
Hmm.
it was fairly easy.
Speaking of things that I didn't know what they were, each level they had like the vert symbol or something.
Yeah, the V logo.
Yeah, yeah, V logo. What did that do? I got a few of them and I was just like, huh, I wonder what this is.
Yeah, so those are the Vicarious Visions logo.
Ah,
That's why it was a V.
yeah,
Yes. Oh, I don't think I mentioned that this was developed by Vicarious Visions and published by Activision.
you did not.
I did now.
Yeah, collecting all the Vicarious Visions logos completes a challenge, I think. Like, I think it's just part of the challenges.
All right.
Yeah, I got a bunch of those too. Yeah, some of them are tricky, you know. And a
Yeah.
lot of times with those or the secret tapes, maybe even more so, you could clearly see them, but it's
Yeah.
figuring out how to get there. Like a lot of times they were at some elevation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Figuring out how to get there was the tricky part.
Yeah,
But that's fun.
definitely.
I don't know. I love like hidden areas and games and stuff.
I do too, but the other problem was the time limit. Like
Yeah.
even if you figured out where to go, it's like you had to do everything like a little bit at a time, a couple of steps. Okay, I got a couple of steps further this time. Now I get a couple of steps next time. I don't know. It just like I wish there was a way to explore the level without the time, even if you couldn't complete the challenges that way, just so you could get a lay of the land and then do
I
what you
think
had
there
to
was
do.
like a free skate mode.
In
I'm not
every
part.
level, or was that?
There was a free skate, but I'm not sure if they had like the skate letters and the secret tape and everything.
Right, to know where they would be.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It would
But there's
literally be
also
just
like the
exploring the
Well, that's not
terrain.
horrible because it's more like the secret areas and stuff. Like figuring that out with the 2 minute time limit is like impossible.
yeah. They also had the other one, the other non-timed mode. You remember what it was called? Where you have to basically do all the goals in one run, and then it would have your total
How,
time that. Yeah.
no, I actually didn't know about that.
Oh.
Well, that's cool though.
Yeah, yeah. I forgot what it was called, but yeah, yeah. I did like one. I think I did the hangar level.
Yeah. Like a lot of the levels, like felt really big, but you also had no problem getting around them in the 2 minute time limit. I felt.
Yeah, you could get through them, but like, could you explore everything in them? Like even the mall level in Tony Hawk 1, like didn't it have a little like almost like teleporty thing at the end of it that brought you to another part of it. I kind of remember
It
that.
brought you back to the beginning, I guess, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, just the beginning
A
because
couple
that
of
was
levels had
like
that because
that was a
they're more
line.
linear. Yeah.
Yeah, like the
yeah.
school was more like a just a big
Open world.
area.
Yeah.
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 School. I felt was one of the more confusing levels,
I agree.
which is
Yeah.
like weird because it was early on. But
Yeah, it was like the second level in each.
yeah, well, school two I think was pretty straightforward, but
Mm.
school one was
Yeah, that
like
was
there was like the upper area where
yeah,
you like end up on the roof, I think, and
yeah.
yeah, yeah, and then the part by the pools where you have to kind of like ollie up to like the other like
Yeah.
raised platforms. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So are there any Pete, you usually regale us with records of people in these games and you know, any of that you know of for this or not too
No, but
much?
I think people have achieved like million point combos
Yeah, probably.
with
Like
that.
even more.
Yeah.
100
Billion?
million, probably.
Trillion?
But speaking of those levels, the linear levels,
Yeah.
the downhill jam one was like my least favorite in both games combined. That was the one like the construction site.
Oh, that's funny. That was one of my favorite ones.
No, and
Wow.
I'm my opinion is not applicable here because I didn't get to that.
That was the one where you had the Madonna over one of the
Yeah.
gaps, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that really the name of a move?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Man, you didn't get as much into the X Games as we did when we were younger.
yeah, that is true.
But yeah, that one was just like a lot of it was hard to. I don't know. A lot of those goals were hard for me.
That's interesting.
Like
I
there was
really
the one with the valves. Like you had to open all the
yeah.
valves. I think one of them was like very cleverly hidden. That took me a while. And even like the six score, I found it hard to kind of like
Find the location to get
yeah
your
to like
score.
to get good combos and stuff in that one.
The bull ring was really cool.
That one I just basically grinded along the outer areas the
Oh,
whole
really?
time. Yeah.
Because they had those like massive ramps.
Oh yeah.
So I like that. It's like I think the bull ring because it was kind of like a skate park level, but had a little more, in
Yeah.
real type of environments.
And you get gored.
Yeah, and you could get gored by the bull, which I did many times.
Yeah.
Are you guys excited for Tony Hawk 3 plus 4 or and 4?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, I am. I'll probably play that when it launches.
Yeah. So I didn't mention I as for as much as I loved Tony Hawk as a kid, I did not purchase the remake until just now in order to prepare for the podcast, but also just to get geared up for 3 and 4. And so 3 and 4 I think is going to be a day one game on Game Pass. So
Oh, nice.
I'm definitely going to be playing it. Do you guys remember? Well, Tom, you remember in Skate Heaven the volcano? But I don't know if you know you could do like the volcano jump, and you could go into the volcano.
I did not do that. I didn't spend that much time in that level
Me
because
neither.
it doesn't have any goals. So I was just kind of
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
And I guess
There's
for the gaps, if you were doing those.
yeah. And there's the V logo in the volcano, I think.
Ah,
Yeah.
there was that one and then the one, I guess it was the one after the bull ring, where you're just kind of like in the chopper.
You're
Well,
in
well, like, you come out of the chopper and it's just basically like two. It's just like a half pipe, basically, right? And then
Oh, a chopper
it's
drop.
yeah, yeah, it's like suspended over water. So there's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, that was kind of like lame.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure was. Yeah, so anyway, I want to go back. I'm curious, Tom, what you got, because I mentioned I completed basically 96% of the goals in Tony Hawk 1. And in Tony Hawk 2, I got 99%. So I just missed one thing, which was the secret tape on Venice Beach.
That one was we had to you basically just jump off the table, right?
Off the table, yeah. I
Yeah,
For some reason I didn't think to do that.
yeah,
Because you could go on the roof, which
yeah,
isn't that high, but I was trying to like
yeah. Jump
start
off
from
that.
there and
Yeah,
like do a boneless ollie to gain extra height. So I couldn't figure that out. So that actually I did go on the internet and then
yeah,
once I
yeah.
saw it, then I did it. No problem.
I ended up looking up a few of them. I didn't like fully 100% it until I
Yeah, did that.
looked up how to do it. Yeah, yeah, but it wasn't too many.
Was there one or two in particular that you could remember?
Mm,
Did you get that secret tape in San Francisco without looking up?
that one I think I looked up.
Yeah, that one was really tricky.
Yeah,
But like all the scores, all the combos like that was obviously I did.
yeah, I didn't have to look up like, oh, where's the best spot to get
Yeah,
this? Yeah,
maybe answered did that.
Yeah. Like Venice Beach. What the?
I don't even know what you're talking about. So, Ann, are you gonna play Tony Hawk 3 plus 4? Maybe that's the better question.
If I'm being honest, probably not. I mean, I don't know if it's gonna be eventually free on the highest tier of the PlayStation Plus, whatever that's called. I forget. Ultimate, whatever it's
Well,
called.
that's
It's
what
the
that's
highest
for.
tier of the PlayStation Plus, which is what I have. I don't have Game Pass because,
Yeah.
well, I have an
If it's
Xbox,
free,
but I don't have the. All I have is Game Pass Core, just because PlayStation's my main console. But um, if it's free, I'd probably play it, but I'm not going to go and buy this.
yeah. I want to since this is a standalone episode, we're not going to be doing our bro down debate. I do want to call out Tom on something because I know the games are totally different, but I mentioned Simpsons Hit and Run earlier, and I want to talk about that because a big complaint of yours, Tom, with that game was that it was like you're doing the same thing in different levels, and it's just like a time trial where you have 10 less seconds to do the same thing, basically.
yes.
That's what Tony Hawk is. And it's a whole lot of
Oh,
fun that everybody loves. Yes, it is. Collect skate in every level, collect Metro cards in every level, or in one level, and in the next level, collect
yeah,
Liberty Bells or
yeah,
whatever. And all the scores, obviously, they just keep getting a little harder each time. Do a gap in each level. Oh, do it a Madonna, and instead of an Ollie in this level, it's like it's the same thing. And if you don't like
yeah.
Simpsons Hit
But
and
the
Run,
level, I don't know. The levels are like more different. In Simpsons Hit and Run, you're just like always. It just didn't feel like different. The missions, it was always driving, but like,
now you're always skating.
yeah, yeah. But you're skiing somewhere different. This is just like you're driving on on asphalt.
No, some of them were in downtown Springfield. Some of them were in suburb Springfield. Some of them were on the boardwalk in
Yeah,
Springfield.
yeah. Well, it was all in Springfield.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I mean, look, they're like I said, they're two different, totally different games, obviously. And if one is fun and one is not, in your opinion, that's one thing. But like a lot of your arguments against Simpsons and Ron is really the same arguments anybody could make to attack Tony Hawk.
I mean, I guess that there is some repetition, but I mean, what you're doing is fun, as
Okay, yeah.
opposed to
Oh
repeating something
yeah,
that isn't fun.
it's a lot smoother. I'll give it that. This game,
Yeah, true. One thing that would have been interesting that I didn't do was to go back and play the PlayStation
yeah.
original PlayStation versions to see how smooth those were. Because the remakes really felt great, like we said.
Mhm. Yeah, I have to give it that, even though I didn't love it, it's really good with the controls.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm
But I'm
happy to
just
wrap up and go
yeah,
back
I'm
and
just
try to
looking
get
to
the
I'm
Goth
looking
Air achievement.
I'm looking to see if it was on the PlayStation Mini that came out that got, sort of dragged through the mud because it didn't have a lot of good games on it and doesn't look like it was.
It probably would have saved the PlayStation Mini if it was on.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I really love Tony Hawk. I think 3 was my favorite, so I'm very excited for the 3+4 remake coming out next week. And I wonder if, and this is kind of my concluding thoughts, I wonder if there are a younger audience that maybe never played or got into the Tony Hawk video games. And for those people, I would highly recommend playing these remakes. Really a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say that it is interesting. It does seem like the X Games and all of that is less popular than it was in the, I guess that was late 90s, when this came out. So that is interesting.
The timing was perfect, and and there
Yeah,
was snowboarding games and surfing
yeah,
video
right,
games coming out at the time.
right, because all of that was big. I don't know if that stuff is as big now or if it's just like
I don't think it
on
is.
streaming stuff, and that's why I don't like see it on TV or anything. But I don't think it is. So it is
I
cool that
mean,
they're remaking these. I don't know if it's just like a money grab from the like to get millennials to buy it, or if it will spur sort of a new generation of fans of these types of games and maybe skateboarding and snowboarding and all of that stuff in real life. Look, this isn't one of my favorite games, certainly, but I would recommend playing it, especially if you can get it on, if you have Xbox and you have Xbox Game Pass or something. I actually think it 1 and 2 is free on one of the tiers of the PlayStation Plus. I think
Yeah, yeah, it is.
it is, yeah. So that's yeah. So I had bought this, but it is free on that too. So certainly give it a shot if you're if you can get it for free. I mean, I wouldn't go out and buy it, and like I said, I'm not going to go out and buy 3 and 4, but I would play it if it comes to one of those services, and I could try it out for free. I mean, the soundtrack's awesome, the gameplay's awesome. I just feel it's a little bit tough, and like I just didn't have the I don't know, I just don't have the desire to push forward. It's not that it's tough, period. I'm not going to play it because I don't like when games are overly easy, but I just didn't have the drive to kind of push forward with this. But I obviously you two guys do, and I feel like a lot of other people would. So I'd recommend it on that end. Tom?
Before you go, I just want to point out that I don't really think this is a money grab. Like they're really doing a lot to modernize the game. Like it's not like some of those kind of ports, remakes, whatever you want to call them, where it's like basically the same thing with one or two little features. Like they really redid the game nicely and added multiplayer and different features. So I would not classify this as a money grab. I would classify this as a great game, a modern game. Sorry, Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. Yeah, I mean, so much of what made the originals great, and then just all the extra content. Like I found myself really wanting to do those challenges, no matter how hard they were. Yeah, and I don't know, I guess it kind of like speaks to the collector in me, but it's like I like when there's a checklist and you just like go down the list one by one and start doing things and checking them off. Um, yeah, so that was a cool addition, I think, to the game. But yeah, I definitely recommend. I mean, these games are awesome. You could spend so much time. I mean, if you want to just go through the minimum and get through the like campaign, quote unquote, you can do that. But there's so much more that these games are gonna offer, and yeah, it's a good time.
All right, there you have it. There's our episode on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, the remake. Make sure to check out Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 coming out on July 11th of this year for the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Switch 2, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Windows, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S. Be also sure to check out our usual episodes of Brothers and Boss Battles, a video game showdown, available wherever you get your podcasts. Please like and subscribe. And check us out on social media on X and Instagram at Bros Boss Battles. That's BROS Boss Battles. Check out our page on YouTube, or we're sometimes on Twitch. You can catch us there as well. Finally, our website is brothersandbossbattles.com, and you could, guess what, check us out there as well. All right, everyone, stay tuned for a couple of weeks. We will start our new category, but for now, enjoy Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Take care, everyone.